And welcome back to Everyday Economics, a podcast that helps you learn about the economic world happening around you every day. I'm your host, Chris Krug, president of the 501c3 nonprofit Franklin News Foundation. Everyday Economics is a production of America's Talking Network. You can check out all of our great podcasts at americastalking.com. To support podcasts such as this one, please make your tax-deductible charitable contribution by clicking the link in the show description. We are recording this episode on Tuesday, January 17th. And joining me, as always, is my friend and colleague, Dr. Orphe Divounguy. He's a PhD economist. Dr. O, the Consumer Price Index was released last week. We shared the data from that, and I mean, just to double check, you're the across all items in the CPI basket, that prices were up between December 2021 and December 2022, the last completed measured period, 6.5%. And so the backlash that we get, and others who talk about this get, is that, the CPI numbers are bogus, because I was at the grocery store and, there's no way that the stuff that I've been buying is only up 6.5%. CPI does not measure that way. And I think it would be valuable for us to talk about sort of the data points inside of that number, because food overall is up 10.4%. Energy is up 7.3%, but inside of energy in the last measured period, fuel oil is up 41.5%. Some things are down. Gasoline prices were down in December 2022 versus December 2021, but not much, 1%. Used cars and trucks were down, but they're down 8.8% according to the CPI numbers, but they were astronomically high to begin with. Could you just take a second for the benefit of people that are trying to understand what this means, what it means to them?
Absolutely. I get this a lot, whether it's on my social media. First of all, the consumer price index actually fell by 0.1% in December. What does that mean? We need to clarify one thing. A lot of people confuse inflation for the price level. Okay? Those are two different things. The price level is that price that you see when you go to the grocery store and you pay for something. That price is the price level. Inflation is a sustained increase. Keyword here is increase in the price level. We're looking at the increase from last year. 6.5% is an increase in prices from last year.
Among all prices that are measured inside this basket.
Among all prices, right? And so it's an average, 6.5% increase in the price level. And so when we say inflation is coming down, we're not saying the price level is coming down. We're saying price growth, the change, the increase from last year, or the pace of price increases is coming down. And I think that is a very key distinction for folks out there listening.
If I'm, a casual listener of Everyday Economics, I by this point in time, I realize that we're trying to make things accessible. We're trying to make the economy, the broader economy, accessible to people that aren't economists. How should a person who is looking at the consumer price index, how should they consider it? What should they be doing with this information?
The consumer price index is basically telling you how much prices have changed over a specific period of time. When we look at, for example, dairy products increasing by 15.3% from last year, what that means is, right, those goods, their prices have increased by 15.3% when compared to a year ago. And when we say, hey, inflation fell in December by 0.1%, what that means is, on average, some goods and services, some prices have increased, other prices have decreased from November to December. But altogether, on average, the prices fell by 0.1% in December. I think that's a key distinction. A lot of people confuse inflation for prices, for the price level. A lot of times I'll say, inflation is coming down, and people will say, well, I'm not seeing that. What you're seeing is prices are still increasing, which is correct, but they're increasing at a much slower pace. And that's good news because, right? And that's good news because in a normal economy, prices continue to increase.
Sure. They might increase 2%.
2% per year. That's correct.
So if they're increasing at 3 times the normal rate. It's arresting, and it shows up in ways. That's why your grocery bill, which let's say was $100 last year, this year is $100. And what would it be based on this?
Let's put it this way. In a way people can really understand, your purchasing power has gone down.
Yes, that's a better way to say it.
You're getting less for the same amount of spending, the same amount of money you're spending, you're getting less, fewer goods and services. And I think that's why people get upset when they hear, inflation is coming down. They say, well, no, hold on a second. I'm still getting less. And of course, wages are not keeping up with inflation, right? And so they're getting less. They can't buy as much as they could in 2019, for example, or in 2021, when right before inflation started picking up so fast. That's what we mean, right? Purchasing power of American has gone down. But with inflation coming down, that is likely to improve the purchasing power of households, and which is why we should be cheering a slower pace of price increases, because it actually allows wages to catch up and purchasing power to improve.
I appreciate the insights as always. For Orphe Divounguy, this has been Chris Krug. Subscribe to Everyday Economics and dozens of other quality podcasts at americastalking.com.